is Jeopardy! Let's meet today's contestants. Our returning champion, Megan from Florida, and the host for Jeopardy, Kate! Today's questions are all about assistive technology. Let's get started.
Basic for 100.
What is TTY?
Teletypewriter.
Correct!
Basic for 200.
What is TDD?
A telecommunication device for the deaf.
You're right.
Basic for 300.
What does a TTY look like?
A TTY is about the size of a typewriter and has a small keyboard and screen that uses LED lights to display typed text electronically. Sometimes they also have a small spool of paper on which text is printed, like a receipt.
It also looks like this. Great job, Megan. Next.
Functions for 100, Kate.
What is the function of a TTY?
It is a device that allows the deaf community to type messages to communicate instead of speaking.
You're right.
Functions for 200.
What is the function of a TTD?
It operates in a similar way to the TDY, but it is a much smaller desktop machine.
You got it.
Functions for 300.
Is a TTY a high-tech or low-tech form? And what is the average cost?
TTYs are a high-tech form of assistive technology. They can be purchased online from $200 to $250.
Fantastic.
History for 100.
Name the two people that came up with the idea of the TTY.
James Marster and Robert Whitbreck.
Fantastic.
History for 200.
What was the reason behind the idea of the TTY?
James Marster and Robert Whitbreck were both deaf. Marster was a dentist and a private airplane pilot who became deaf as an infant because of scarlet fever. Whitbreck was a deaf physician. They wanted a way to communicate with others.
Superb.
History for 300.
Who combined Western Union teletype machines with modems in the 1960s to create TTYs?
Who is Paul Taylor?
You got it.
Use for 100.
How can this form of technology be most effectively used?
A TTY can be most effectively used for communication.
Bing, bing, bing.
Use for 200.
Describe the TTY relay service.
The relay system makes it possible for deaf people to use the TTYs to call other people who may not have a TTY. A deaf person calls the relay service and types the number they wish to contact into the TTY. Then the relay service calls the number, and the deaf person and the person they contact can communicate through the relay service.
Nice.
Use for 300.
How can a TTY be used in a classroom and at home?
A TTY can be used in a classroom to allow students to practice typing and to expose them to a part of the deaf culture. It can also be used at school for teachers to communicate with deaf parents. It can be used at home for deaf people to communicate with people outside of their home.
Nicely done.
Miscellaneous for 100.
What are the characteristics of the students for whom TTYs are appropriate and who can benefit from this tool?
Deaf students who can read, write, and type, or hearing students to communicate with their deaf friends. Any deaf person or their families, any businesses with deaf clients or employees, schools, emergency dispatch can benefit from this tool.
You're right.
Miscellaneous for 200.
Can TTYs be employed as part of Universal Design for Learning?
Not really. TTYs are used more for communications between parties. For example, teachers could use it to communicate with deaf parents.
Nicely put.
Miscellaneous for 300.
What are the advantages and disadvantages of TTYs?
Some of the advantages are it's a way of communicating for emergencies, and it's adaptable to new technologies such as the Apple TTY adapter. Some of the disadvantages are it's expensive and you need to know how to read, write, and type.
You got it.